Hey everybody, it's Aziv, and today we're going to be going over how to level your Bloodweb efficiently. Your Bloodweb is where you're going to get your perks, offerings, and most of your items. Now, when your Bloodweb reaches level 10, the entity will start chewing off some of your Bloodweb and limiting how many things you can get in your Bloodweb at one time. So how the entity works is that as you go through your Bloodweb, it'll show up, I believe, at the 4th or 5th take of whatever you're going through in your Bloodweb. But if ever you have 2 perks in your Bloodweb at one time, it will show up the instant you take one of those perks and it will swallow up the other one. And now that we know this, instead of having it take off little bits and pieces, we can plan for it to take entire chunks of your Bloodweb to save you thousands and thousands of blood points, allowing you to spend them on more desired items, perks, and leveling up your Bloodweb in general. So let's see what we got. All right, so we're looking for efficiency. So immediately we see that if it starts here, or here preferably, it's going to be super efficient. So how this is going to work is like if the entity starts here, it's going to go here and absorb nothing else with it. It won't absorb this because I can reach it through a different path. So it's not going to absorb that. It's different if it goes here. This isn't reachable by anything else, so it'll absorb that, and that's how the entity works. And we want to force it to absorb as much as it can. That way we can get through the Bloodweb quickly. Now you might be saying, oh, well, why would I want to do this? You know, if I want specific stuff. Well, one, if you want specific items, this way you can go for the item and then get the entity to chew up the rest as fast as possible. And two, if you're looking to, just as most people are, level a character as fast as possible so you can get their teachable perks on other characters, this is how you want to do it. So I'm just going to double check here. If it starts here, that's horrible. If it starts here, it's pretty horrible. So I'm going to go... I don't want that Siptic. I really don't want that Siptic. I am going to go for this. Worst case scenario, it will go here. Worst case scenario, it will go here, but it'll at least absorb something after that. So we're going to just take the damn Siptic. Now that's what I'm talking about. Big boy time. Let's go. So just absorb those two. And we'll take something else that's kind of random, just because we wanted to get to this. So how this would work, and the reason I don't want to get this right now, even though I might want the perk and I'm right next to it, is because if I get this, just like I explained before, it's going to take an opposing perk, which is going to interrupt this whole process. Whereas if I just take something random, like this, it will go to that next, and I don't need it to climb down here as it would have. And now I can take this, and it will finish off that entire side. And now what do we have left? Well, it's likely going to go for this next because that's the next node it was connected to. So I want to interrupt that so it starts somewhere else. Now, it's likely going to either start here or here. I'm hoping it starts here. Good. Very good. All right, I'm just going to take this because that's cheap. Now, I bet you it's going to go there. Oh, shoot, it went there. I'm a dum-dum. Well, it's going to go there or there. There was no nodes connecting either, so it went there. Cool. All right, so this is nice. If it starts here, it's going to absorb these two greens and absorb two yellows when it gets to this brown, so that's good. If it starts here, that's not really good. It doesn't do anything on the way down. If it starts here, it does absorb a Siptic and a green, but that green is a Bloody Party streamer. And that's the only thing you want to look out for. So I would say the only thing that would actually make you try to redecide is if there's one cake or a streamer or more. With just about any other bonus, it doesn't matter. But for example, in an average game, I get, say, 20 to 25,000 blood points without bonuses. So if I throw this in there, I'm getting another 20k, which is like half of a Bloodweb at level 50. And when you're lower levels, it's often like an entire Bloodweb. So when you're going up in level, if you don't already, like if you're, so when you're at low level, say you're at Bloodweb level, 20 or something like that, and you're really trying to boost up a character, if you don't have the blood points to finish off getting to level 40 to get whatever teachables you want, then I would say prioritize getting this and like sacrifice the quote unquote efficiency. That's really nice what it did there, because now it's going to go to that one. And then it will eventually start over here. and it will climb down, and I'll make sure to grab this. And it might absorb this entire tree. Now that is efficient. I mean, seriously, the entity at this point has absorbed far more than we have. So in just that little amount of time where we spend 6,000, 9,000, 12,000 blood points, the entity spent, oh geez, that's a lot. So 5, 9, 13, 18, 23, 27, holy crap, 30, and 37. So in the same amount of movements just now, the entity spent more than triple what we did in blood points. So by doing this, we're basically churning through twice as many blood webs with the same amount of points, because we're allowing the entity to take not only far more than we are in just the straight up amount of nodes, but also in value, because we get to decide which nodes it takes. When we can focus on the lower quality items and the less expensive items, and it can get the purples, because when it absorbs, even one purple, that's the equivalent of 2 brown nodes we could get. And so when it absorbs an entire chunk with multiple purples and iridescent yellows or greens, we suddenly have just saved so much it's actually ridiculous. And this sort of thing will just become sleight of hand and familiar, because when I first started playing and I saved up to 1 million, so I could level up a character and get their teachables, I would get to maybe upper 20s, maybe 30. And now off of 1 million blood points, if I'm starting from scratch, I can consistently get it to 40 and sometimes even 41 or 42. So this is going to save you a lot of time. And the last thing I'll explain, and this is just the behavioral trait of the entity, is that it's not going to pass over your middle section here. So you might be wondering, well, if it gets to this node and absorbs this entire tree, or gets to this node and absorbs this entire tree, where is it going to go? It's going to start on an outer node. And by outer, I mean one furthest from the center. So like it would not start here, for example, because that's only 2 away from the center. It would start at here because it's 3, or here because it's 3, or here because it's 3, and so on, or here because it's 3, right? Like you can guarantee it's not going to start there. It's not going to start here. It's not going to start here. It would start on one of these outer ones, and it would move in that way. And if you don't have another perk, so like I tried to specifically level this one up, so there isn't a way to really force where the entity is going to go, but we do know that there are a lot of trees that are here that would still be really efficient if it took. So if it got to this node, it would absorb 2 greens, or excuse me, 3 greens, a purple, and a yellow. If it got to this node, it would absorb that entire section. If it got to this node, this entire section. If it got to this node, that entire section. So we can say, well, what section do we want it to absorb the most? I mean, personally, I don't care about that item. I don't care about this item. I don't care about this item. I really don't care about that item. So I'm going to say that I want to go for this perk just because. And so it's going to start over there, and we can say, okay, well, it's going to get to this node. Where do we want it to go after? I personally want it to go here. So I'm going to start going to grab this tree. And now, because it starts at the outer nodes, it will start at one of these 2. And that is it for this video. Sorry it was so long. I just wanted to make sure I covered all bases. I sincerely hope that it helps you get those teachable perks or items as fast as possible. If you have any compliments or critiques, as always, please leave them below in the comments. I am going to be making a couple more explanation videos, so if this was a bad explanation, please roast me. And until the next video, you have a good one, and I'll see you next time.